at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
I don't know if it's the march of time or I'm distracted by something, but I have no internals to go over. That's why I didn't finish the itinerary, was because I usually will finish the itinerary before the show. Like, I might fill it in a little bit here and there throughout the week as events happen. But when you have a period of slow news, like a slow news period, I guess, not necessarily a slow news day, because there are many of those, but a slow news period of time, I usually just forgo it until like right before the show itself, and then I look through the forums and ask a few people, and that's how I fill out the itinerary. And usually for the internals are me bullshitting about something, or an event happening, or it's internal stuff. And there's nothing happening with the server. There's no events planned, and I have nothing to talk about. And I don't know why I have nothing to talk about. Usually I have something to talk about. Usually I have some bullshitting I can yapper on for 7 minutes about, but I don't this time. But that is okay. So what I will talk about instead is a event in World War II that I recently found out about, and it actually kind of like drove me to tears like several times, and I don't really know why, except I just really liked it. So I will discuss the Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler incident. And so I copy and pasted there in chat if you want to look at the Wikipedia page and read along with me. But this was an event in World War II in which a German fighter plane, Thalmor learns about the Holocaust. But this was an event in World War II in which a German fighter saved and escorted an American bomber. And the story goes as this. So it's December 20th, 1943. And Germany is getting fucked. Not like as fucked as they're going to get in 44 and 45, but it is not a good time to be a German. And so, yes, there's a Sabaton song about it. The Sabaton song is what got me interested to look up the incident, as is usually the case when I listen to their stuff. You may post the link. Yes, it's a great song. And so the Charlie Brown was the pilot and the commander of the bomber. It was a B-17, and a B-17 has a crew of 10. And so on December 20th, 1943, they were on a bombing run on Bremen. And they got fucked. The flak guns on the ground and fighter planes from above rocked their shit really hard. 2 of their engines stopped working. And this had the result of completely fucking up their internal power systems. So, like, they're so high up, and it's winter, so it is negative 73 degrees Fahrenheit outside their plane. It is cold as balls. And with the power going out, because half their engine stopped working, like, the circuits that keep in their bomber suits that keep them warm, those stopped working. And so, like, one of the crew had his feet frozen. The wires that kept the guns from freezing, they started failing. So, like, their guns was freezing. The crew was like had shrapnel damage. It was all injured. The poor tail gunner got decapitated. Just a bad situation. The frame was exposed in certain locations. You could see into the plane. Really, really bad. This plane wasn't looking so good. And they didn't want to bail. They could have bailed, but they didn't, because one of the crew members, the shrapnel damage on his leg made it so he couldn't land safely. And so they decided, rather than abandon him, that they were going to stick in it together. which is really Chad. But that's not all the Chadness that will happen in this story. So this plane falls out of formation, and of course, because of that, becomes an even bigger target for the gunners on the ground and fighter pilots. And so Franz Stinger is on the ground, refueling and rearming, and he sees this bomber that's not doing so well. So he hops in his plane, his fighter plane, and he goes, he takes to the sky, and he's going to get the kill, right? So he travels close to it, and he sees the pitiful state they are in. He sees the crew is incapacitated, they're injured, they're out of this fight. And he remembers the words of his commanding officer from North Africa, who said that if I ever hear of you shooting down a man in a parachute, I will shoot you myself. And these words resonate with Franz Stinger. And so what he does is he tries to get them to land in Sweden, but they can't understand his gesturing and what he's trying to say. So instead, he gets right up on them, and he stays on them. They don't shoot at him. He doesn't shoot at them. And because of the close proximity, the other fighters and the flat guns, they don't fire on him. And he escorts this bomber to the coast and back to the ocean to where it can land in the British Isles. And so finally, once they're over the ocean, Charlie Brown orders his gunner to point the gun at the fighter, but not to open fire. Franz Stinger understands what's going on. He gives a salute, and he gets out of there. And so, because of the actions of Franz, of Mr. Stigler here, Charlie Brown and his surviving crew are able to land safely in Great Britain in a Royal Air Force base, and they go on to finish their tour. Stigler returns to his base, and he doesn't, of course, report what happened because he would be court-martialed. But to save this bomber and their crew, Stigler risked his life like 3 times. He risked his life because maybe the guns would have opened fire on him and killed him. He risked his life because maybe the flat guns might still open fire anyways and take him out. And he risked his life because if they got found out what happened, he would be court-martialed and probably executed, because this is, of course, Nazi Germany. And Stigler had no reason to play the hero like this. He had no reason to do this for the enemy, but because of a sense of honor, he chose not to shoot them down. And because of that, 9 families had a loved one return home to them that otherwise might not have. And I think Franz Stinger is a great example of what a hero is and should be. So that story really moved me, and I will admit that I'm more over it now. But like yesterday and the day before, when I was learning this story, like it really moved me to tears. Like I cried, and my nose became snotty, and I had to blow it. It was so touching to me. So I wanted to share that because it really moved me. That was the Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler story. The Charlie Brown and friends, they would meet up in the 90s because Charlie Brown went looking for him. Stigler moved to Canada, and they ended up linking up, and they became great friends. And just a great story all around. I did not know that story, Michael Scott. I've been reading a lot about World War II lately. I didn't even know that the flak towers were a thing. That Germany built these big fuck-off cement towers that were like impervious to like everything, and they put all the guns on them and shot down planes with them. Like I didn't know those were a thing. I've been learning a lot lately. But anyways, that's enough about that. Let's go over, and Zig, I would like your help with this, but we need to discuss the Halloween flag contest. So this will be your final chance to go and upvote your favorite Halloween flag that is up on the contest. If you haven't voted, go do so. if you have voted, then don't do anything except drink a glass of water because it's important to stay hydrated. Okay, so I will go through these. So first off, it's Rose. They have 4 thumbs up. Then you got, oh fuck, what's the name? The fucking names are right above them. I don't have to guess. Goodness. So the Immortals has 9. The Knights Radiant has 9. Eclipse has 5. The Commonwealth has 4. Cataclysm has 11. Thus far, I think I like TKR's the best, but I don't know. I also like Rose a lot too. It's hard to pick between those two. I mean, yeah. Carthago has 4. Waffle House has 6. The Lost Empire has 7. I like the Lost Empires. That one is nice. Ampersand has 7. Ampersand is like kind of minimalist in a way. Federated States of Orbis has 3. That looks like if you went to the dollar store and got a bag of like a discount, like one of those bags of candy that has 100 pieces of candy in it for $3. The graphic design on it, that's what that looks like. The Federated States of Orbis. Atom has 4. The Street has 3. IKEA has 2. ARC has 5. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics has 1. House Dark has 17. I can understand why that one has so many votes. Sunray, yeah. Sunray has 31? Okay. I don't know if it deserves 31, but I digress. UPN has 2. That's an ugly skull decal. Maybe I'm biased because UPN is trash, but that's an ugly skull. I don't like that. Empire of Romans has 2. The Dominion has 9. Prima Victoria has 5. The Way has 4. Aurora has 32. USN has 4. Defined Phoenix has 5. So, as it stands right now, it appears as if Aurora wins. Michael thought they cheated. Yeah. It seems as if there was a degree of what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not voter intimidation. Far from it. They stuffed the ballots. They stuffed the boxes. The election was stolen. But yeah, so
Sunray did a merger anyways, so Sunray doesn't even exist. I think. So so they couldn't win anyways.
Yeah. So if your alliance no longer exists, you shouldn't even be in this, I don't think. So I'm actually going to delete Sunray because of that. And what's the other alliance that disbanded? The Street. The Street needs to go away. I think everyone else is still alive. But yeah, it looks as if. So let's actually do something. So Aurora wins because of manipulation. So how about we pick like 2 more? So who's in second place? Let's see. Cataclysm has 11.
House Stark, I think.
Yeah,
17.
I think House Stark. Yeah, I don't see anything coming close. So House Stark comes in second place. And I guess the third place would be Cataclysm. Yeah, I think it's Cataclysm. All right, I'm going to put this here. Sorry for the dead air. I was typing out the name. So Aurora's in first place, Hellstalk's in second place, and Cataclysm is in third place. And on which I don't know. Did Hellstark also tell their people to go vote for their flag? Firewolf says yes. Michael says no, we didn't.
I voted for
Whistle says
Hellstark.
probably.
I'll have
I
you know.
see the appeal.
I voted for Hellstark. Granted, I voted for every flag, but I also voted for Hellstark.
I can definitely see the appeal in Hellstark's flag. I understand why people would vote for it. But all right, that is the results of that contest. Lots of creativity. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. That's how you know that a community is alive, in which people sit down and they create art. And all of these communities coming together to make these Halloween versions of their flags, that's pretty cool. Most of them are pretty great. Some of them are okay, but most of them are pretty great. I really like Rose, and I really like TKRs, and I like the Lost Empires. Those are probably my favorite of the bunch. Yeah, I stand by that opinion. Looking over them one more time. Sunray and the Street are disqualified, and I deleted them because they died. In fact, they both died like in the past 48 hours, so that's funny timing. I think that's it for that then. So congrats to the winners, particularly House Stark. And I think we will move on with the show by covering the events of the week. And we actually have some things to talk about. So I will, first off, let's talk about the thing I have the least thoughts on. What happened with Sunray? Did they... No, Prima Victoria merged with Sunray to create Sunray Victoria, right? That's what happened? Boss is confirming what I just said. Firewolf's confirming. Yeah, Jack, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. So, Jack, you're unmuted. Red pill us
Nice.
on the Sunray Victoria question.
All right, so for anyone here that knew about it while it was happening, yeah, it happened a little bit fast, but either way, me and Mindsum have been friends since like 2018, and it's been kind of a joke between us that we would merge. You know, he always asked me to merge into him, so eventually, Mindsum decided he didn't have enough time to fully lead his alliance anymore, and agreed to merge with Sunray in some regard. So. Mostly was merging into us because we did keep our, the same link, the same, scheme or whatever, I guess the same theme as we did before, but, we changed and added Victoria to the flag, kind of like the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, just stuck them together. So, yeah. We're pretty similar policy-wise anyway. So...
I don't pay attention to politics because that's why. And so, were you guys already allies? Was Prima Victoria and Sunray already tight?
No. I mean, our past alliances were allied in the past, but like we weren't allies, but we've been friends for a while. We some play other games together, so figured might as well.
Where was Prima Victoria politically, and where was Sunray politically then?
Sunray was in Nexus. We're still in Nexus. That didn't change. And Prima Victoria was, I think they were allied to Aurora. Yeah, they were an Aurora protectorate.
Okay, gotcha. So is Mindsum still in Gov, or is he out of the picture?
No, he's still in government. But he just doesn't have the
Solid, how
time
large are you
to.
guys now?
We are 32.
That's respectable. Okay.
Actually, we managed to
I think it's
beat.
really all about.
Hmm?
No, go on.
Okay. So we managed to beat the regiment's high score, which was 38. I don't know if you know about them or not, but there were a lot of us who came from. I was government in the regiment. Church was government in the regiment. A bunch of other people were. Simmons was the leader of it, but he's not with us anymore. He's over in Solaris Directorate, but yeah, and so we managed to beat their high score, and I think we also managed to beat old Sunray's high score, because Sunray used to be an alliance in 2018, ran by Caboose, who's also the leader of Sunray now. And yeah, I honestly forgot what they were back in 2018, but we have managed to. I'm pretty sure we're higher than they were. So this is currently the highest rank, highest score that we've been in sort of this succession of alliances since then.
Okay. While I have you on, and maybe I need to ask some other people because I forgot who told me. Wasn't there some drama with Alan recently? For some reason, I'm under the impression you would know about that, Jeff.
There's always
Hold on.
drama with.
Phone call.
Please hold while Thalmor answers his phone. This will only take a moment. Thank you for your understanding. While
Need to get through
you
that
wait,
phone call music.
please go to the other channel and see if you enjoy any of the newly posted flags, because I decided to look and see if there were any more that we missed after the voting was done. There are 3, including the number 3 TFP, who was really slow and didn't tell us to post their flag. I don't even know who the
Sorry
bottom 2
about
are.
that.
There you go. Carry on.
Jack.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression you know something about the recent drama with Alan. Can you
Yeah.
enlighten me?
Yeah, there's always drama with Alan. Me and him have never gotten along. So the recent thing was about the recent coup of the NATO Nano Alliance. There were just some Nano and Church, Mindsome, and Change Up decided to go in and coup them. Essentially, they actually just walked in the door, asked for air, and they gave it to him. And so Alan once again went in and paid them to give the alliance back. He offered 150 million divided amongst the 3 of them, half now, half when they return it. They returned it, and Alan only didn't pay him because of that, Change Up held their server hostage because for some reason they also gave up their server, and yeah. So yeah, the drama was about Alan just wouldn't refuse to pay them, and so that's just where all the fighting started. And then Church started a new thing.
Oh no! I'll take it over.
Fine.
I'll take it over from here. So, you know, so yeah, he explained the majority of what happened with that micro, which was very funny. And then some other drama with Alan was we were in the radio show and I started a chant saying "All hail the Micro King." Yep. And I made it into a contest to whoever has the funniest reaction to them spamming Alan "All hail the Micro King." I will award them $50 million. And I also
Alan?
put, yeah,
You mean Alan?
yeah. What?
Okay.
Different. And then I also put 3 15 mil bounties on his head, and people slaughtered him right away, which I thought was hilarious. And he got nuked, so worth it.
So You guys ransomed the Alliance back to them?
It was more like it was less like ransom and more like we just stole it to troll, and then Land paid them to return it, and then he didn't pay. He only paid half.
No. He paid the other half. I got paid $50 million in total from Milan, which I thought was
supposed
hilarious.
to pay $75 million to each of you.
Mm-hmm. No,
I thought the deal was originally.
It was $50 million. It was $50 million each, so it was 150 in total.
All right, well I guess I was wrong.
He paid 150 million to bail out this micro.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because the micro I think has a 300 average score.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll be generous. 350 average score.
They're below top 100.
Yes, Michael. They are I think their highest level city is a C6.
Yeah, their highest level city is a C7, I think.
Oh, sorry, they might have grown a little bit since I last checked.
Yeah. I also stole their bank.
Oh yes, they really had a massive bank. Definitely not what one of us could produce in a day.
Hey.
And they weren't really an innocent alliance either. I'll post this link or image that shows you just kind of who they were. We didn't know it at the time. We just had to fuck with them, but it turns out they actually weren't that great of people either.
And
that's
yes, it's them. And there also are some very interesting, very based fascist, this quasi-fascist stuff that they had in some of their chats. And yes, I'm pretty sure they were racist because at least one of their members was posting some, at the very least, fascist adjacent messages in one of their chats. I'm banned from the server, so I can't get any screenshots of them.
Okay. So you guys need to take these screenshots and put them in the Seethe and Cope chat because it looks funny. And that room needs some content anyways.
I thought so we're on the V was that the leader actually did though come in to an interview on another news station. Like the better stuff though isn't even recorded because this was so impromptu. But there was some really funny Seethe and Cope.
That interview that little banter with me and Croc was hilarious.
Oh god, I will not. He will never live that down because it was some of the funniest shit. Like, oh my god.
It was. I just owned a 12-year-old. Deal with it. Basically, what happened there.
Yeah. Wait, with Church was that interview recorded?
I don't think so. I don't think Jack was recording.
Fuck.
I wasn't there for half of it, so I couldn't really record.
I don't think Rambo recorded it either, so that's really sad. It got lost to time.
You gotta give me a little bit of notice if you want me to record something.
Yeah, obviously. I know. I completely understand, Jack. It's more like we're sad because it was a perfect interview of pure stupidity and chaos.
All right. Well, thank you guys for explaining this. Is there anything else y'all need to add on before we move on?
I mean, you can unmute these guys too for the Goon story later if you want. They were also a part of it.
All right. Well, Chad, Jack, and Church, go ahead and just unmute yourselves, and I will let you know when you can speak again.
Got it.
That's the best way to do that. I think we can go ahead and move on to the street gets closed. So that was a surprise to me, but Kev's new alliance has merged into Cataclysm. Cataclysm resembling Black Knights of the olden days because they keep getting different communities to merge into him. And so I'm trying to remember who it was. There's a guy in the Hand of Fate who was like a little bit privy to the internal going-ons of the street. And basically the reason why the street merged into Cataclysm, from what this guy said, was because the street like had no direction or something like that, which I think makes sense. Because it seemed like from how Kev would always describe the street to me, it was always kind of a non-serious gimmick alliance, and those don't really ever seem to like have any real staying power. And I know Kev, he really wanted to like really shake things up, and given the political climate, it would have been best for him to merging to Cataclysm makes the most sense. So I understand where they're coming from. Weebinism's flag is like this really poorly drawn swastika. That symbol is like the symbol of the Ryukyu Islands. But I digress. Because I know Kev really wanted to make things happen, but with like we got 6 blocks now. You have Cindy Sphere, Radiant Sphere, Rose Sphere, Mystery, Oasis, and now the Cox. And like, even if you want to make the argument, and I think you can, that like Rose, Mystery, and Oasis are all kind of in the same boat, then okay, we have 4 blocks then. Wow. So like, it makes sense that if you're a 20-man alliance and you want to shake up politics, that instead of being independent, you would instead join into an already like existing, established, stable, fairly powerful and wealthy, alliance that is in this position to do more, which is what Cataclysm is. I'm stupid. I don't know anything. But I think Cataclysm kind of is the leading alliance of the Cox. And so it makes sense to go there. So rest in peace, the street. Maybe someday we can get another good gimmick alliance. But that is that. And Nexus and Camelot made peace with each other. And they had been fighting for so long that I had even forgotten that they were fighting. But Camelot and Nexus finally agreed to stop fighting. And I actually really want to cover the peace terms because I've never seen this before in the game. And it's very peculiar. Let me go to the forums here and pull up the thread. And I do this on my phone because I do it on my computer. It's going to take away internet access points from my speaking, and that would be bad. So let me go ahead. Peace moving forward, posted by David. And it reads like this. Let me clear my throat. All right. We have had a wonderful time burning pixels and fighting Camelot. But like with all good things, it is time for this war to come to an end. And with that, we are turning in page and mutually putting an end to all our Kansas belly gathered up over time up to this point. Along with Nexus's and the Syndicate's view that Camelot had remained unpunished for their actions prior, during, and after their violation with IQ Sphere. That being the case, it is our belief that any alliance or individual who hits Camelot for these reasons are merely taking advantage of a sovereign alliance and trading the line between normalcy and what IQ/Opus Dei attempted to do by driving players away from the game. We are dusting ourselves off, shaking hands, and parting ways with the following terms between us. So these are the terms. Number 1, Camelot formally surrenders to Nexus. Number 2, both parties formally agree to reset relations via also considering all Kansas belly against one another up to this point null and void. Cessation of aggressions in the form of a non-aggression pact with a 6-month duration, starting from the moment the document is posted in the OWF and ending on the day change of the end date. And term number 3 has some subsections here. A, both parties mutually recognize their respective sovereignty. As such, they would not engage in or support actions such as spying, poaching, harassing, mass messaging, which would be violating said sovereignty. Okay, that was actually a little funny. But B, No new wars will be declared after this post is made. Existing wars are allowed to end by a base or truce per individual agreement between opponents. And C, any new disputes will be discussed and resolved amicably whenever possible. That one's also a little funny. Number 4, Camelot agrees to return to their pre-war color block trade. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk. I am the 5G is my brain is mostly soup at this point, folks. Number 4, Camelot agrees to return to the pre-war color trade block maroon. Number 5, Camelot hereby formally denounces the following alliances, former members of the Opus Dei block: Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Knights, Goons, New Pacific Order, and further actions during MPL's last time. Number 6, Evil Piggy Fufu agrees to change the nation flag and not to appropriate any of Camelot's flags, logos, and/or imagery. Furthermore, no other Nexus or Syndicate member will pretend to be associated with Camelot in any form, and vice versa, including those previously mentioned. There's also a list of alliances covered by the NAP and a list of signatories, and I don't care about that because it doesn't matter. Change up. I will repost the itinerary for you because I am just a nice guy. So, before I give my thoughts on this, I want to take a poll. Let's see. Let me add a reaction. I will add the pyramid, and I will also add the friend. Okay, so here's how this poll is going to work, and I will even pin it here just to make sure we're all clear here. So this poll is. Oh, let me actually edit the message. Okay, so here the poll: did Camelot or Nexus win the war? Pyramid for Camelot, hug for Nexus. I want to get everyone's opinion here. Overwhelm. It is a landslide. It is a landslide. Everyone unanimous, except I guess Zig, but Zig might be being ironic. Everyone thinks Nexus won the war. Not even close. Okay, well, I say that's accurate, but I think Camelot deserves a lot of credit, and I think there's some nuance to here. So let me explain where I'm coming from. So Nexus kicked Camelot's ass. They not just destroyed all their infra and all their military, they also were in a position to sit on Camelot and prevent them from doing anything ever again. You know, Camelot is like, what, 50 people now? Nexus is like, what, 150, 200 people, maybe more? I don't know, but they certainly outnumber them. The Tyrion, everything. Nexus rocked Camelot shit. And they fought this prolonged war. The damages speak for themselves. I think it's like 40 billion to 20 billion or something. Nexus militarily won. And they won decisively. They had all the power in the situation. And yet, I look at this peace deal. And I see a very similar story, but much more complicated one. So I will go through them and explain what I'm talking about. So, peace term number 1. Camelot formally surrenders to Nexus. So this is there's a group of peace terms that are very standard in this game. a formal surrender or admission of defeat. That or an admission of losing. I would consider all those kind of the same thing. That's one of them. A nap is also one of them. Agreeing to return to everyone's color blocks, that's another common one. Yeah, those are the three most common. And any peace deal that is not a white peace, any peace deal that has terms, those three you're going to see. One of them at least, if not, two or three of them. So term number one is very standard, and I have nothing to say about this. Camelot formally surrenders. Yeah, they lost the war on the ground. Term number two. Both parties formally agree to reset relations via also considering all Kansas bellies against one another up to this point null and void. So this one is a bit interesting because, and to explain why this term and another term are interesting, let me explain. How do I want to word this? Politics and war is about power. And power is the ability to force your will on another person. That's true in real life. But in this game is also true. And I think whenever you consider a relationship, you have to consider the difference in capability between two parties, right? So in this war, we have to compare the capabilities of Camelot to the capabilities of Nexus. And we come back to Nexus had all the cards. Okay? They did the most damage. They could sit on Camelot. Not all of their members fought in the war, and the ones that did took minimal damage with the least amount of effort. Nexus, politically, the broader community is at least indifferent towards them, and they got the Syndicate to back them up. So their foreign relations position is good. Camelot, they are the butt of jokes, especially because of Epi, and Epi himself is the butt of jokes. So not a good position. It is night and day here. Maybe not like completely, maybe like 90% night and day. They are on two different levels here with what the reality of the situation was. And yet here you have Nexus coming in and saying, you know what? Yeah, we kicked your ass. We won. But we're going to reset relations. That benefits Camelot. I think that benefits Camelot. I think that's a term in their favor. Nexus could just say, white peace, fuck you. We're doing you a favor by just giving you a white peace. But Nexus didn't do that. Nexus is here saying, you know what? Water under the bridge. Bygones be bygones. Hello, Camelot. So, okay, fine. So you got one term, the former surrender, which is a normal term, but it's against Camelot. Then you have this reset of relations thing, which I don't think has ever been done formally in the game. Maybe informally. I'm sure it's happened. But in an actual peace deal, I've never seen that. I don't think it's ever happened. And I think it benefits Camelot. So here's one peace term in Camelot's corner. So now we move on to the cessation of hostilities. The first paragraph, I have nothing to really say about. Although, okay, so subsection A, both parties mutually recognize their respective sovereignty. As such, they will not engage in or support actions such as spying, poaching, harassing, mass messaging, which would violate said sovereignty. Again, Nexus has all the cards. By using this term, like, this is in Camelot's corner. And I find it funny, the harassing and mass messaging. What? If, as an example, is David here? David's not here, but Michael is. Hold on. Am I violating the nap? No, I'm violating your sovereignty. No, I am violating the nap. Am I violating the nap, Michael? If I did this, if I was in Camelot and I did this to you, would you attack me because I'm violating the nap, part of this purse term, as part of this peace term? Because no mass messaging and no harassing? That would be a valid CB. Yeah, so I think this is a term that Camelot might have asked for or litigated for and that they got. So that's a point. And also, like a nap. Actually, no. I'll ask Michael. Hey, Michael, who asked for the nap? Was it Nexus or was it Camelot or was it Mutual? Who first mentioned a nap at the negotiating table? I would be curious to know the answer to this. Probably can't say it. What? That's OPSEC. Okay, so yeah, Cam must have asked for it then, and Nexus granted it. So this is like another thing for Camelot. So, subsection B, no new wars will be declared after this post is made. Existing wars are allowed to end by a beige or truce per individual agreement between opponents. Very standard. I have nothing to say here. Subsection C, any new disputes will be discussed and resolved amicably whenever possible. Again, Nexus, this is a mutually beneficial term, but Nexus has all the power. So by granting subsection C here, that is once again another thing for Camelot. So like, yeah. But anyways, we get to term 4. Camelot agrees to return to the pre-war color trade block maroon. Very standard, nothing to say here. Actually, you know what? No, it's a term against Camelot. They're telling Camelot what to do and to cease taking action against them economically. So you could say number 4 is a term against Camelot. Term number 5. Camelot hereby formally denounces the following alliances of the Opus Dei block, and it mentions the IQ people. I guess that's a term against Camelot, maybe. Again, it's kind of telling them what to do, telling them to denounce former allies. Okay. So there you go. And evil piggy foo-foo agrees to whatever. And I would say the evil piggy foo-foo term is also in Camelot's favor because, again, it's telling an enemy combatant that they can't, like, shitpost, right? And also, I guess, telling Nexus and Syndicate members they're not allowed to shitpost. So a number of these terms, in my opinion, are beneficial to Camelot, and there's no reason for Nexus to grant them. So here's what I think happened behind the scenes. I think Camelot legitimately did wear Nexus down to a considerable degree. And they were able to do so by just fighting their guerrilla war for, like, what? A month? How long was the war? A month and a half? I want to say 2 months, but yeah, that was my cat meowing. She's a good girl. She's looking at me. 57 days, Aaron? Is that what you're saying? I'm not going to lick my cat. That's gross. Yeah, I don't know how long the war was. The war wasn't that long, though. So in the span of like a month and a half, I think Nexus actually did get wore down by Camelot. And I think that's why these terms that are kind of beneficial to Camelot end up being negotiated into. So Did Nexus win the war? Yes. But I think there's something to be said that Camelot managed to secure such merciful and generous peace terms for their community, despite losing the war so hard, like on paper. So that's why I titled this section Camelot Wins, because, I mean, militarily they lost, they surrendered formally, but they lost super hard, and they got some really generous terms in this peace deal. I think significantly merciful. That's why I've been dissecting it for the past 15-20 minutes, because I think that's really, I've never seen this happen. I've been playing this game for almost 7 years now, and I've never seen an alliance lose so hard and yet like do this where they get these kind of peace terms. So there you go. Good job to Camelot. Good job to Camelot for sticking in there and kicking ass despite the odds. And good job to Nexus for being willing to start on a new leaf and be such good team players. I think, I think there's something to be said about this ongoing trend we've seen this year of these really good faith plays. So, the way Guns N' Roses ended, very good faith play. The way this was ended, very good faith play. What I'm trying to say is politics seems to be very non-toxic right now, and I think that is very good. It will probably not stay that way like forever, but I am very pleased with the state of politics, with how non-toxic people are being, with the diversity of all these different blocks. I am very pleased, and I am very confident when I say the game is the healthiest it's ever been right now. Between how many active players there are, between how the meta has developed, between like the average quality of your average alliance has increased. Like, only thing that's lacking is like forum participation. The forums need to be more active. But otherwise, very, very good how things are going. So I think that's it for politics and war. Final call. Any last topics I need to go over before we move on to the spooky? Before we talk about the big scary. Justine, speaking of Hand of Fate, Max, what happened to your chocolates? My chocolates, it's complicated. And we might have to change buildings, but that's a whole process, and we can't really do it without some help from some investors who we've been talking to for a couple of years now, which we're having a big meeting on the 14th with them, and we'll see what things look like then. But the chocolates probably won't be happening until sometime next year at the earliest, so we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of Hand of Fate, talk about your boys for a bit. You want me to talk about Hand of Fate? I'm pleased with how Hand of Fate is doing. I like how the alliance is. My grieving over KT has ended, and I'm very happy to be part of Hand of Fate, to be a part of something new. Unless you want me to touch on like a specific thing, which I'm open to doing. You just have to tell me what it is. Horsecock used to talk up a pretty big game of being super dynamic and changing the game. Okay. So KT rebranded, joined the block. What now? We're part of Cockblock. Like, so you're going to go ask Keegals, I guess. I mean, you know, when I founded KT in 2017, and new players, which I think a lot of you are, you wouldn't understand as much. From about sometime early in 2015 until about the middle of last year, the game was basically just two sides. And maybe the players were different, but the game was the same. At first, it was Rose and Cindy Sphere, mortal enemies, complete opposites. And Cindy Sphere kept winning. Rose never beat Cindy Sphere. And MPO joined in like 2016, and everyone thought that was going to be the game changer. MPO is here. MPO, the rulers of the previous game, Cyber Nations, they are here, and they will deliver unto Cindy Sphere the justice that they deserve. And that didn't happen. Cindy Sphere still kicked their ass. Emir Bargo can confirm what I'm saying. Cindy Sphere kicked ass over and over again to the point where it was just laughable. And it reached the point where after, I think it was the Silent War, Rose Sphere just broke. Rose dropped all our allies, and like that whole side of the game just fractured. And all that was left was Cindy Sphere. Cindy Sphere had won the game, basically. Not like to the same level as like MBO had in Cyber Nations. But Cindy Sphere was this political conglomerate that no one could challenge. And so then you had Inquisition form, and then the game changed again. And basically from early 2017 till February of last year, the game became Inquisition versus not Inquisition, basically. And you had back and forth there. And when I found it, and why I'm going through this history lesson is to say that when I created KT, I wanted to try to create a third sphere, a third block, a third side for people to join so that we could break the bipolarity and try to have a political climate closer to what we have today than what we had back then. And unfortunately, that was probably not the right thing to do because number one, I was a dumbass. Still probably am. But 2017 Thalmor was dumb as fuck. And I didn't even know like how to tie my shoes. And I was trying to take on this task that like Partisan was trying to do a third sphere. Caster was trying to do a third sphere. Some of the greatest minds in the game was trying to do this third sphere thing. People much better than me, people with much more experience than me, people with much deeper relationships with much more people than me. And I was trying to do it, and they couldn't do it, so why could I? And that's just one dimension. The other dimension is that there was no will in the game for a third sphere. I mean, yeah, Partisan, like I said, Partisan wanted it, Caster wanted it. I think even Guardians of the Galaxy, Seeker were looking at it, but it never really happened. And that was because I think fear was a big thing. There was a lot of fear about it. But what I've come to learn, now it's less true today, it seems. But back then, the reality was that politics was just cucked. Okay? You either reported to MPO or you reported to the Knights Radiant or the Syndicate or Rose or someone outside of Inquisition, whoever it was at that time over the course of those several years. And so, no king rules alone. A king has his people below him that manages the kingdom under him. And even though I founded KT to be this leader of a third sphere and had some success, but not really anything concrete. I mean, we had connections with some people, but KT's allies weren't anything great. It was pretty shabby overall. And similar to how No King rules alone, if you want to do a third sphere and you really want to be dynamic, then you need people shoulder to shoulder with you to facilitate and execute on that vision. And the will just wasn't there for much of that time. And I'm sorry if you guys are saying stuff in chat that I should respond to. I'm concentrating really hard on what I'm saying, so my eyes are closed, so I can't see what you're saying because my eyes are closed because I'm concentrating really hard here. So, So KT couldn't do this third sphere. We couldn't be this big dynamic force. We certainly tried. I failed, but then Kigos and Theo took over, and we buddied up with SK and AIM, and that was the thing. We broke off with them. Then we became friends with the Golden Horde and the Way. And no, it was Impera and some other Fourth Alliance, and that was okay. But then I fucking hell, I really wish Keetog could have been a thing. I loved Keetog. I loved Knights Templar, Guardian, the Golden Horde, Imperia, and maybe someone else I'm forgetting. That was great. I really wish we could have done something more together. I really wish that could have happened. But it didn't, because a war of extermination got waged upon us. And, by the time the dust had settled, we were in a different world. So that didn't end up happening. And so that's one era of KT. So then, of course, in the post NPO time of the game, this past year and a half, there was this vision for KT to, and my eyes are still closed, by the way. They've been closed for like 10 minutes now. Where Horsecock wanted to do these grand things, and KT just didn't have the political clout and the strength to make it happen in the after effects of NPO's last time. Going into that war, we had like 70 members. And then after the war, it was like, 30, 40? The Gov was burned out. Kigos left. Theo left. Horsecock was, going to leave, I think, but he decided ultimately, he convinced Theo and Kigos to let him keep the alliance. Then Dennison was made second in command. Then Horsecock had some real life things, or whatever, and he quit, but then eventually came back. Of course, we were a part of Hedge when Dennis was at the helm, and I'm stupid. I don't know how politics works. I mean, I can analyze things like I did these peace terms earlier in the show. I can theorize pretty well, but I don't know the people. I don't know their agendas. I am not a good FA person because I do not have these relationships with these decision makers. And I have no desire to have them. I like doing this show and being like a jester, like a community jester. I like that position because it allows me to have fun. It allows me to bring fun to people, and it allows me to not have to stress out about dumb bullshit. But from what I gleaned during our time in Hedge, the war against, gosh, and I don't know why I can't fucking remember what happened last year. I think it was Rose and what was before Oasis? Before they split off? I don't remember. Swamp. Yeah, it was Swamp, Rose, and Hedge against Duck, I think, and we was able to win them. And from my understanding, during that war, like that was a war that Rose wanted, that Hedge got involved in, because Children of the Light was the main political driver of Hedge, and Children of the Light was essentially like maybe not a Rose puppet, but was very closely aligned with Rose. And I think that's different now. I think. Either because that relationship genuinely fell apart, or the relationship was consciously aborted because it became no longer viable. But that's what happened there. And so Horsecock came back and talked to some people, and Horsecock thought that KT had become cocked, basically. So Horsecock said, "Fuck this. It is better that KT be just a bloodthirsty." I don't even want to say this because I don't want to attribute thoughts to Horsecock he hasn't had. I haven't actually sat down in depth and went over this with him, so I hope I'm correct. But I think Horsecock didn't like. He saw a beautiful creature that should be like a show, like he saw a show pony being used as a meal, essentially. And so he said, "Fuck this. It is better that KT's beautiful creation just return to monkey." So it became this pixel alliance. And then you had Keck. And honestly, in hindsight, I think Keck was just a ploy to take KT out of enemy hands. I think there was some gay ops there. I think Keck was probably fake. I think the Syndicate or the company or Eclipse or someone there or several people from those communities said, "Okay, how can we remove KT, who is a threat, who is powerful, out of the hands of our enemies?" I think Keck was the answer to that. And it worked. It did work. We never fought alongside Keck. And I think... and I think I spoke on it. Keck died because the company and Eclipse was saying, "Yeah, let's do something cool." And Horsecock was like, "Okay, I like you, Theo. We have worked together for literal years. Yes, let us work together." But like the actual intention to work together might not have been there, or if it was there, it wasn't really that strong. Or it was there and it went away as time went on. But Keck died. And so, well, Avatar, it wasn't about fighting alongside Cindy Sphere. The idea was that Keck would be the foundation for a new block. And there was no desire to do anything cool like that. I think the company and Eclipse were complacent, which has changed in Eclipse. Eclipse literally got the sense knocked into them and became base. And that's why they formed Cockblock with the other people. But that's what happened there. And so then we went paperless again because it's like, well, this is not a situation going anywhere. And so that's what that was. And I've talked a lot these past 15 minutes, but what my core point, what I'm really trying to say here is to be this force in which you bring this change. And are you fucking... Justinian left? When did he leave voice chat? I've been ranting for 15 minutes because he asked me a question. And he leaves? Oh well. Anyways. in order to do what you wanted to do, to be this big player and have this change, you need people willing to do it with you. And for much of KT's existence, there wasn't that willingness. I mean, yeah, Guardian, the Golden Horde, Seven Kingdoms, there were attempts made, but you need more than that to be this strong, powerful, major force. And KT can never get that. And I don't blame KT. I blame myself for 2017. Because there actually was, and this really hasn't been talked about, but I will talk about it now. There actually were some decent talks in 2017 about a third sphere, and those talks were between me, Caster, Seeker, Partisan, and Victor. And Victor was UPN. So it was UPN, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hogwarts, Lordaeron, and Knights Templar. And so there were some, and I guess maybe some protectorates. So they were pretty serious. Like we had like these group chats, and we would go back and forth and hash things out, what our concerns were, who else we could take with us. They were pretty serious, but they didn't materialize in the end, unfortunately, and it just never happened. But outside of 2017, I don't blame anyone in particular for the failures of KT to create a powerful new side, because you need people willing to do it. Now, to an extent, you could say KT shot itself in the foot a lot, and that made people unwilling to work with them. Leaving Hedge, leaving Keck, attack, the Crusades. Like, certainly, even in just recent time, just in the past year and a half, we did do a lot to alienate people. And so, that was how that worked out. What was Justine's question even? Let me see. Breaking the nap was bad FA move. Let's see here. What did Justine saying? Bias Thalmor radio won't give us more than go as Kegos. I thought the show had integrity. Did Justin respond anything else that I was saying? I don't see it. Okay, so I don't. I feel like Justinian was building up to another question and he never did, but that's okay. But I'm pleased with where Hand of Fate is now. I like Cockblock. I like the people in it. I like Eclipse. I like Cataclysm. I can't remember who else is part of our block. Weebinism and someone else. Who's the other member? Who's my other ally? Aurora. Yeah, those are fine alliances. Like, I would consider Eclipse and Cataclysm to be really quality alliances, whereas Aurora and Weebinism are more like just decent. But like, I'm okay with that. Like, there are worse allies. We could be allied to Polaris. We could be allied to FARC. We could be allied to ASM. We could be allied to micros. Like, we could be allied to shitty alliances, and we're not. We could do worse than Weebinism and Aurora. So there you go. You could be allied to Cam. Yeah, exactly. So we could have 4 worse allies. Weebinism and Aurora. I when the time comes where I have to stand shoulder to shoulder alongside a member of Weebinism and 2 members of Aurora, I will not have to hold my nose. So that's where we are with that. So, and I would consider Hand of Fate being a part of Cockblock as the execution of Horsecock's idea of KT being a dynamic like thing. Because I do think that Cockblock is in a position to be a wild card, which is what I think fueled the streets. Like, that's what Kev wanted. Kev wanted to do crazy, like, cool shit, and he couldn't from the streets. That's why he joined Cataclysm. So, I think Cockblock is best positioned to be this wild card, and I think that's what Horsecock's vision ultimately was going to be. And I think right now that vision has been fulfilled. So that was gosh, how long have I been talking on this? 20 minutes? Jeez, man. That was a lot, but I hope you guys learned some stuff. So that's enough of that. That's it for Final Call. That one exposition, that is enough. So we're gonna move on. Let's do spooky time. So this segment is, I want you guys, let's try voice chat first. But if we can't get too many to do voice chat, we'll do text chat. Let us go around the campfire and let us talk about spooky paranormal events that have happened to us. If you don't have a paranormal event, but you have something like paranormal adjacent, like I do, or something like generally scary, you can also share that instead. Obviously, don't share something that like is genuinely traumatic to you. Like, this is like, don't air out your trauma and your emotional damage. Don't do that. But like, if you got like a funny story that would be funny at a party, share that. So I will go first because this is my event here. I live in central Kentucky, and I saw a black mountain lion outside my house, sitting and walking in a field. So I was always a bit like, it took me maybe about 2-3 years before, actually no, it took like maybe 4 or 5. It wasn't until a couple years ago. Hold on, my thing fucked up. I thought you was going to say black person for a second. No, that would be scarier. But it took me until about a couple years ago to see. Oh man. When we first moved out here to the country, the sellers of the house told us about how, like, we asked about wildlife, and yeah, you have deer, you have possums, you have turkeys. There are even beavers out here. There are beavers out here, and they will like slam their tails against the limestone in the creeks. There was actually a cool beaver like a couple hundred feet up the creek, but the Great Pyrenees dogs we have killed them, so that was pretty unfortunate. But anyways, along with the turkey and the deer and the possums, you also have coyotes and bobcats. Now, I haven't seen the coyotes, but I have heard them, and the coyotes have actually attacked our property twice, and both times we had to shoot guns to get them to go away. And I haven't seen a bobcat. I've heard a bobcat. I did see bobcat kittens. I was going to school one morning, and they were actually down the driveway, and they were so cute. They looked just like normal kittens, and they eventually walked away. But like, that was pretty cool. And the guy who sold us the property did tell us about mountain lions. Oh no, I think we asked him about this was years ago, and he said that he had never seen one, but that people in the area had reported seeing mountain lions on trail cams. Now, the guy who sold us the property, big outdoors fan. He actually built his own tree stands deeper into the woods to hunt on. And so this guy was outside hunting and doing shit like all the time. So this guy had probably spent like thousands of hours outdoors doing shit, right? And he had never seen a mountain lion. So, okay. So this was probably this was years ago. I have trouble remembering when it was. I'm going to say it was December of 2016. December of 2016, I was coming out of the master shower and I was going to put some clothes on. Now, I live in this trailer by myself, right? And so, because of this, when I get out of the shower, I don't leave any clothes out. I just dry myself off and then walk through my house naked to my room where I get some of my clothes. And so I walk out, and when you walk out of the master bath to the master bedroom, there are these windows on the other side of the wall from the bathroom entrance that looks out across the front yard. And so you got the front yard, you have the driveway which connects to a detached garage, you have like another yard, then you have a creek, and then you have a field that's at the base of this mountain. Like I said, we live in a mountain valley. And so from like my front door to where the mountain begins, it's like 350 feet, right? And so I exit, like I think I see my cat under this tree in this field on the other side of the creek. So I walk out into the living room and I look at my pretty cat, because I love my cat, and I see it standing. The cat is standing there under the tree, just being a cat lounging around. And so, okay. And so I put my clothes on, and I didn't think of this consciously. It hit me, I think, subconsciously and made my way up to my consciousness. But I had a thought. And this thought was, wait a minute. At the distance that I see my cat under this tree, it looks to be too big. What's going on here? So I look again, and the cat is still standing there. And I realize, wait a minute, that fucking cat is way too fucking big to be my normal house cat. What the hell? And I actually measured it later on Google Earth, and this cat was 200 feet away. This cat was exactly, Max. The pussy was too big. And like I listen and I hear our beagle dogs, and our beagle dogs are so sweet. They are so loving. They're big babies. They are also big fucking pussies, and they get scared of the wind and will bark at the wind. And so I hear my beagle dogs like on the other side of the property barking, and they are barking so weirdly. I've never heard them bark like this. They were barking, but like terrified to be barking. It was they were not having a good time. And so I get my clothes on, and I don't step outside. I watch it from the screen, the storm door of the front entrance, and the mountain lion starts to move. And I am flabbergasted because it's black. It's a black mountain lion. And I actually looked it up later, and mountain lions aren't black. For a mountain lion to be black, that's like a rare like mutation. They do exist. There's just not many of them, which is really saying something because there's not that many mountain lions either. And I could tell it was a mountain lion because its tail was long. If it was a bobcat, bobcats don't have long tails. This had a long tail. And I watched as it moved like a cat. It really did. And so finally, once on the other side of the creek, it went past this building that was on the other side of the creek. I saw the cat that I thought it was run from under the building to the front porch running in. So Sally, the cat that I thought it was, saw the mountain lion and was like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. So of course I let her in. And so mountain lions are bigger than bobcats. That is right, Jack. That's also how I knew it was a mountain lion. And I wish I had gotten a picture. Because that would have been so cool to have some evidence to show people. Because the thing about this encounter is that seeing a mountain lion is rare in this area. Okay, like the guy who we bought the property from said he had never seen one, and he had only heard of people seeing them on trail cams. Not only did I see a mountain lion, I saw a black one. That is 2 layers of rare. That was so cool. And Hillbilly is right. Mountain lions are panthers or cougars. That is right. They are all different names for the same animal. So that was really cool. So I've never had a paranormal experience. I've never had a paranormal encounter. This is the closest that I've ever had to one. And it was pretty cool. And I just wish that I could have gotten a picture. So there we go. Who wants to share their paranormal or paranormal adjacent story next? Church does. Is there anyone else who wants to? And if you want to share it in text chat, you can. Okay, Lysander and Jack, hold off right now. And you too, Vice. Let's get to Church first. Church, unmute yourself. What happened? Church, you are unmuted. Okay, let me server mute you and then server unmute you. Now try to unmute yourself. Okay.
Dude, I have so many stories about this one spot, but I could tell you one that's short. So like there's this area downstate where I used to live, and I'll post a picture of it. So like as you can see on this road, like there's no one around. And in that certain like section of the road, like where it's just covered by woods, that road right there, I mean it has a name obviously, but it's called Ghost Road to like I guess to some of the people around. Anyway, it's really weird. So like people go there and there's certain steps you have to follow to like for stuff to happen apparently. So it's kind of like you kind of provoke stuff. But yeah, so anyways, so you drive over the 3 hills and then you turn around at the stop sign and then you drive and park on one of the I'm pretty sure it's the middle hill. Anyways, so I was out with on a date, I guess to say, and you know, I like before some stuff has happened, but like I could chalk that up to other things happening and going on. But this one was pretty spooky. So me and this girl are just sitting in the car, and you know, I'm just thinking like, oh, it's gonna be a perfect time to just do stuff, I guess, while we're waiting for stuff to happen. But like, so we turn the car off, and then we're just chatting, and then all of a sudden I hear something, and I'm like, wait a minute, shh. And so that road is pretty dark, but like you can, if it's a full moon, you can see the road. So we were sitting in the car chatting. I hear something, and I hear what sounds like, you know, old farmers' boots, like old rubber farmers' boots, how they make that sound when you walk in them, I guess. Uh, so it's a gravel road, and you just, what I heard was like farmers' boots stepping on the gravel coming towards the car, and like I'm scared shitless. Like I'm so scared. Oh my god! I tell her to turn on the car, and we're off. We booked it, and then another time, you know, sometimes like we'd get out of the car and we'd mess around in the road if nothing was happening. Yeah, and we'd mess around and you know run back to the car. Last one to the car gets locked out for like 5 minutes. It's crazy. So another time, I brought another one of my friends out, and we drove, and they were like, "Hey, dare me to get out of the car?" I was like, "You do whatever you want. It's cold outside. I'm staying in this nice warm car." And they opened up my door, like my passenger side door, and it sounds like someone took their nails and like scratched under my car, like the muffler. It sounded like somebody like took their nails and were just scratching right where my muffler was, I guess to say. And immediately they just slammed the door shut, and they told me to turn on the car. Well, you have to take the keys out of the ignition, and you have to have everything off. You can't even have your phones on while you're out there. So you can't. If something happens, you can't. You have to turn on your phone and wait for it to turn on. But yeah. I was scrambling to find my keys because I don't know where they're at. They fell down like right below where I was sitting, and I'm not getting out of my car to, reach below where I'm sitting. So I'm trying to scramble to get those keys. Oh, that was spooky. Yeah, no. I could tell you I guess, history of the road if you want me to, if you're up for that.
Yeah, go ahead and do it. It's called Ghost Road? Because, like,
Yeah, it's called.
I'm guessing a lot of people have a lot of experiences there.
Yeah,
earn
so
that
like,
name.
So the old legend of the road. I get Michigan has a lot of legends. I mean, you've probably heard the song Wolfman and stuff like that. So Michigan has like a kind of lot of legends being thrown around, I guess, and like this road is one of them. So this road, apparently, there's lots of stories. Like if you talk to many people around where I used to live downstate, everybody will tell you a different story, but one's more common than the other. So like there was this farmer. There is an abandoned barn. It's hiding right behind that little map logo. So there's an abandoned barn behind that little map logo. And so the story goes, there was an old family, and the farmer killed his wife and his son, but the daughter got away. And every night the farmer goes out there and like looks for his daughter with two dogs. So like sometimes people will see two dogs dart across the road, and sometimes people I've seen it a couple of times actually. So where you're sitting on the road, you can't see the main road uh, on the other side of the hill. So like there's a dip and then there's a hill and then you go down that hill and there's the main road. You can't see the main road. And it's happened a few times to where you can see a light from like a lantern, and it will cross the road at like walking speed, or like kind of like fast paced walking speed. I've experienced that a few times. I mean, some people say they can, like, if you look in your mirrors and it's a full moon out, you can see somebody standing behind your car and walking towards your car. Some people have had like little girl handprints all over their car, like on their windows and stuff, like just little handprints from like a little girl after they drove from that road. Uh, it's it's very spooky. Like if you go out there and you expect nothing to happen, I guess you're gonna kind of shit yourself, because that's what I thought when I was first brought out there. I was like, oh, this is all just make believe. Don't even try that shit. And then you know, I experienced stuff, and whew, yeah, it's a pretty scary place. It's actually really fun though to go to. I mean, you can just go out there and vibe, I guess, but as much as you can with that shit going on. But yeah, no, I mean that's it for that Ghost Road story. I have a few other stories, but they're way longer. So, but yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's go ahead. Is anybody who else that can voice chat wanting to share any spooky stories? Zig, do you have anything? Jack does. Okay, Jack, you're already unmuted, I believe. So go ahead.
All right. So in my area, East Tennessee, there's a lot of these random few 100 acre or more than that, like parks. I would say they're kind of like trails, but they're pretty random and spread out. And one of them was sort of known for having a few abandoned cars in it. No one knows. There's a lot of different stories for why that they were there, but they're all like 50s, 40s model cars that ended up being abandoned in this one trail. And it also has like this center or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but there's a pool there, and then they own the rest of it. So my mom, I was like 12 or 13 at the time, took me and my cousin there, and we asked if we could go on one of the trails. She said, sure, does not really knowing how big the place really was. So me and my cousin went on the trail to go and find the car, and it took us quite a few hours before we got close to it. And by the time we did, it was dark. It was dark enough to where it was, the sky was still light, but you couldn't really see anything. And I did bring a flashlight just in case, but we got up to one of the cars, and like since I was 12, I was pretty scared when I saw something that was in the car, and so I got out the flashlight. Then the flashlight quit working. I think it was the bulb, but like I turned it on and it just burned out as soon as it turned on. So I was pretty scared. Both me and my cousin, because my cousin's a few years younger than me. Both pretty scared shitless when we saw that. But we're pretty sure it was probably a coyote that was inside of it, but we never really saw it. Either way, you just have to. That's the wrong cousin, Shota. You would just have to imagine like two kids running around there and seeing something inside of an abandoned car. But yeah. There's all kinds of stories though why they were abandoned. People said that people died in the cars. Someone else said that people were they were like stealing the cars, and they just few of them ended up just getting stuck there because they never came back to pick them up. But no one actually knows the truth about it. But yeah, that's the story.
Gotcha. Who else? Zig, I feel like you got something. Just a little something. You're not allowed to talk about it. What? What? Did the ghost make you sign an NDA after it made you shit your pants? Demons. We agreed not to talk about it. You agreed with the demons not to talk about it? That's all I'll say. Okay. Huh. No. Oh, okay. Well, okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, because I know Catholic exorcists, whenever they do an exorcism, they're all very tight-lipped about like what happens and everything. So yeah, I get it. I think that's it. So voice chat people have a paranormal story. Does anybody else want to go, or are we going to move to the text chat people who have paranormal stories? Okay, Vice, can you voice chat your story, or can you only text chat it? Alright, I'll unmute you, Vice. I'm doing the voice chat people first, because I think that's the most exciting.
What's up, dude? Long time no talk.
Hi!
Okay?
Loud and clear.
Ah, nice. How you been, man? shit, I'm getting pink.
I'm doing pretty decent. I had a fucking earache that's been killing me the past week. I'm doing pretty decent. Besides that,
So I guess it's not like a super scary story or anything, but I used to work at a it wasn't quite a 5-star, but it was like 4 and some change restaurant. It's this steakhouse in Cincinnati, and the house was it's in like a pretty posh area of the city, and it was built back in the 1800s. It's a really beautiful mansion. If you guys have a browser, go pull up. It's called Carlo and Johnny. It's owned by Jeff Ruby's, and there's no H in Johnny. And the history of the house basically is some rich guy had gotten married, and his wife wanted some really extravagant house. He was really well to do, so his wife's name was Emily, and they built this 1800s house. It's absolutely, first of all, it's huge, but it is beautiful. It's just this old, really just over the top mansion. And I'll post a picture of it in chat to help people like picture it. Where are we at? Thalmor, yeah. Okay, here we go. So I posted a picture of it in Thalmor Radio. So it's this big, huge house. It was originally pink. Now it's like yellow or something like that. But anyways, so he built this house for her, and then they started coming a little tight on money. I think this is around the late 1800s. So the woman went on a sort of like vacation or business trip, and then decided to come back early. And when she came back early, she found her husband with his mistress. And he had obviously been having like a long time affair. So she did what any rational woman would do and killed them both. And then she killed herself. And so she allegedly haunts this house. And so again, this is like in the late 1800s. So then it kind of sits abandoned for a little bit. Someone buys it again and turns it into sort of like a brothel, and then it gets raided, and then Al Capone has someone in his gang buy the house, and actually a bunch of Al Capone stuff is in the house right now. And so they were basically running gambling, brothel, pretty much drugs, anything you can think of, bootleg booze out of this house. And then it got raided by 2 police agents who like killed a bunch of people when they raided it. And the police agents that raided it, their name was Carl something and John, I don't remember his last name. So that's why it gets the name Carlo and Johnny. And then, fast forward a little bit of time, it was like this huge, basically like place where people would go and get Coke. Like this restaurant bought it, and they were famous for basically like you would order your food, and then when you were paying your bill, you asked for some Coke. They'd give you some Coke, and you'd pay for that as well, and you'd be on your way. And actually, before this guy bought it, Jeff Ruby, it was about to get raided again. And this was probably, by this time, it was, I guess, like late 90s, early 2000s. And then this guy bought it and cleaned it up, fired all the people who were trying to sell Coke out of it, turned it into a nice restaurant, and basically that's what it is today. So I ended up working for him back in 2008, right before we had that like hurricane come through. And the only like creepy thing that happened was I was there late on New Year's Eve. We had to work New Year's Eve, and it was like 4 or 5 in the morning by the time everyone had cleared out. And we were shutting down the whole house, like turning all the lights, turning all the stoves and everything off, and basically closing up for the night. And we walked out, and we all got in our cars, and it was just me, my brother, and the head chef left as we were walking out. And we get in our cars, and all the lights on the house click back on just randomly, like almost every single one. And it was just like the weirdest thing. I'm not like a paranormal guy, but I thought it was pretty weird that, it's like a crazy spooky house, but then just randomly almost every single light in the house turned on. But other than that, I just thought the story of the house was really cool. She had like killed a bunch, basically her husband, his mistress, and herself in the house. And there's a picture of her, if I can find it. still hanging inside the. Here it is. Gotcha. Copy link. Here it is.
She sounds like a bad bitch.
Yeah, she's a bad bitch. Here's the picture of her. Oh, rip. Do I not have do I have image perms in here? Is that a thing?
Everyone should image perms. Whenever I click the link, it gives me like a redirect notice. I think the link itself
What
is
is
fucked.
this? There's some
Download
like
the image and upload it.
yeah, there's like some weird. There's like a YouTube video regarding her. What I'll do is I'll just snip the image. It's like really horribly fuzzy, but she's not attractive. She's pretty rough on the eyes. There you go. That's the drawing of her that still hangs in the house today. That picture is probably over 100 years old. And it's cool, like, yeah, I know, right? No wonder he cheated. And it's like really cool because this house has tons. They like kept everything. So like on the wall is the picture, and it's like a real. I almost wanted, like, I don't steal stuff, but it would have been really cool to have this. It was the original picture of Frank Sinatra when he was young. It was the newspaper, the front newspaper article when he went to jail. Like, I think it might have been for the first time. Here it is, where this famous picture was taken. It was like the newspaper article. Dude, fuck my life. Let's do I'll just take another snip of it, I guess. There we go. Yeah, thank you, Zig. Beat me to it. So basically, where this picture was, it was in the newspaper, and they had that original newspaper. They had newspapers of like when Pete Rose in Cincinnati had done all these crazy things, like when he hit his big. I guess he broke like a home run record at some point, Pete Rose, and so he's from Cincinnati, and that was there. They had stuff from like World War II, all these crazy newspapers, and there's just the restaurant has this massive basement that always is about 130 degrees. It could be the dead of winter, and this basement is always 130 degrees. It is so hot. We would mess with employees who are new. We'd tell them to go down there and get like left-handed coffee cups or wooden skillets, which obviously don't exist, and they'd be down there looking in this like 130 degree heat, and they'd come up just completely drenched in sweat because they were down here looking for something that didn't exist. Or we do dumb shit like tell them to get all the stale air out of the fridge, which they'd take a big garbage bag in and like, you know, fill it up with air and walk it outside. And back in and they look like a retard carrying this big trash bag full of air. Or like the meanest thing I ever did was we were walking out. It was super late at night. And this guy, it was like his first week working there. And I told him to empty the hot water tank in the coffee dispenser. And then once all the hot water was out, he could go home. And our hot coffee dispenser was hooked up to a tap. Like it was, I don't know how long he was there, but he was probably there at least 10-15 minutes trying to empty this thing out when it was hooked up to a fucking tap, and it was never going to empty. But it was just it's like a really cool house. If you're ever in Cincinnati, go eat there. But there's all these creepy stuff, and they say it's because of Emily, but I think it's obviously just because the house is like, you know, 150 years old. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
There are some. You know, in this like area of Kentucky, there are some really old ass houses for sale that are like built in the 19th century, and like that would be one of my concerns to move into one of them. Is like, well, is this shit haunted? Is a demon gonna fuck me in the ass if I move here?
Yeah.
You know.
Look how like ostentatious, like this is the dining room. Look how ostentatious this like dining room looks. Let me post a picture. It's supposed to be like some gangster style steakhouse, and still today, they only men can be servers, only women can be hostesses, bartenders, and cocktail waitresses. Like they get away with it by being quote unquote like themed, but basically like no women can serve and no guys can be like hosts or bartenders or cocktail waitresses. It's like I don't know how they get around it, but they do.
Yeah, well, that's a way to labor laws have exemptions for like theme stuff. Like for
Mhm.
example, like if you wanted to start like an all women's like dance group, then when you put out your advertising for employees, then of course you can discriminate against men because the whole part of the business is that it's an all women's thing. And there are exemptions, and so that's probably the same thing at play here. Is that it's the theme, the atmosphere, I can see how that happens.
There's a better picture of Emily. The plaque says Emily the ghost. I can't really read it, but
It probably says she was a bad bitch.
Yeah, she was a bad bitch and murdered a bunch of people. I can find the history one day. I'll post it up here and people can read it. It's pretty wild. I'd pipe. Oh my god.
All right. So thank you, Vice, for hopping on and sharing your story.
For show.
All right. Any other Lord Tyrion? I know you gotta have something. You gotta have something. I can just smell it. I can smell it, Lord Tyrion. You had something happen to you. Something happened behind an Arby's in 2002. I do, but I can't voice chat. Well, you can. Okay. It's time we do the text chat portion. I think all the people who can voice chat have shared their stories. So let's go ahead and move to the text chat stuff. So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead. Lord Tyrion, I want you to. Actually, you know what? Why should we even do it that way? How about everyone do the stories at once? No, not everyone. We'll do a couple at once. Just keep things moving along. Lord Tyrion and Lysander, why don't you type your stories? Lord Tyrion and Lysander can. Firewolf, I would let you, but whenever I've ever voice chatted with you, there would always be like a delay and stuff. So that's why I don't want to bring you on to voice chat. Yeah, that's the best way to do it, Lysander. Sorry, not tonight. Bro, Halloween is day after tomorrow. There is no better time to share your spooky story. He's gonna do it on Christmas. Ooh, a scary story on Christmas? Now that is mixing it up. No, Church. I'm actually ready to move on, Church. Unless it's really interesting. Riken, we're doing scary stories. Do you have, because this is the Halloween episode. Riken, do you have a scary story? Did a ghost finger bang you in McDonald's? Yes, I live in New Jersey. Well, the only scary thing in New Jersey are mobsters, like James. It's always scary. Church, my longer story is better. So yeah, Epi did join, but I think he's deafened, so I don't know what he's doing. When Cinder is typing, who else has a scary story they would like to text chat? All visitors from New Jersey must explain why. Look up the gates of hell. Okay. I'll do it on my phone because I want to do it on the computer. If I do it on the computer, then what will happen is that it will fuck up my ability to speak. The gates of hell. Okay, is this it, Riken? The Gates of Hell is a monumental sculptural group work by French artist Auguste Rodin that depicts a scene from the Inferno. Okay, look. There's a lot of things that could be the Gates of Hell, so you're going to have to narrow this down for me some. Okay, it's a rape murder tunnel. That's incredible. The Gates of Hell tunnel. The Gates of Hell, Weird, New Jersey. Oh, okay. October 10th, 2021. Okay, I will read this later. Okay, so I've come to realize that if we do the text stories one at a time, that we will be stuck here forever. Well, it's dead air. So if you have a scary story and you don't want to voice chat it, go ahead and start typing it. Do it in like one big text box. That way there's not like spam. And you have to open up Microsoft Word or okay, Zig, can you do the threads? Because I'm stupid. I don't know how to do threads. Yes, Church, we will. Well, no, first off, I'll talk about a few real life news things, and then we will bring you on to talk about the Goons thing. So I think we'll probably go on to about 11:30, I guess. Is that okay with you, Soup? Can you do another 40 minutes? This will be probably the longest episode we've had in a while. Okay, Riken, do you want to voice chat it, or text chat it? I don't think this will be our longest episode. I think we've gone over 3 hours a few times last year. Okay, Riken, your server unmuted. What's your spooky story?
No, give me like a minute. I gotta fix something.
All right.
You can talk about something else, or someone else go, and then I'll go.
Okay, I want to see this thread here. Spooky stories. Okay. That's weird. How do you access? Oh, that's how you access threads. Okay. I don't know. This seems out of the way. I don't know if I like that. No, Lysandra, you can go ahead and put it here. That's fine. That's fine. I get the feeling no one wants to use the thread, which is okay. We still make it work. So Lysander says, this one isn't one I actually remember myself. Comes from my mom relating it to me. I was a young kid, probably around 5 to 6. My grandfather had been dead for about 5 years. In fact, he was only alive for the first few months of my life. And he and my grandmother were divorced. Messy thing. She was a real bitch back then. My grandmother was living with my family at the time, and we were all sitting at the dinner table. My mom noticed I was looking at her and smiling, but I wasn't looking at her. I was looking over her shoulder. She got my attention somehow. I don't remember what she said happened, but I responded with, "Hi, Buggy." Now you have to understand, my grandfather had always called my mom Buggy. That was his nickname for her. I was 5. There's no way I'd ever heard her call that. I never used to say that Grandpa loved her. My grandmother, I'm told, went white as a sheet. Oh, that's actually a little wholesome, I guess, in a way. But I know of tons of stories in which like little kids, like little tiny kids, are able to like do shit like that or see shit like that. That's very interesting. It reminds me of. I'm trying to remember what culture it is. It may be several cultures. I want to say it comes from Japan or it's an Asian idea, but I could be wrong. But it's the idea that like little children are like partially spiritual, and this idea stems from these paranormal incidents, but also like their like high child mortality. Like the idea is that young children aren't even fully part of this world until a certain point, which I find to be very interesting. And that's clearly not a Western idea, but I forget where exactly that idea originates from. Reckon, you ready to go yet?
Yeah, I can go now. So, actually, about 2 months ago, I got my driver's license because my birthday is in August, and I'm now 17. So I picked up me and a few of my friends, and we drove all the way out to the Poconos for a night. And next to our hotel, on the way there, there was like there is an abandoned resort. I forget what it was called. It was either I think it was like Penn Hills or something. That's what it was called. Let me look it up. Yeah, Penn Hills. So that was on the way to our place. We stayed in like a little cabin thing, and my friend was checking out like Bucknell. We were going to Bucknell for like college shit. That was pretty far from the place though. But so that night we decided to go down there because they're fucking bored, and it's still kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So we just went down there. I was it was it wasn't like a scary fucking like full moon type shit, but it was just like it was like a darker night where you couldn't see that much around you. And there was always be like when we were walking through the place, you'd always hear like glass shattering. And it looks like someone like fucking lived in the place until then. They're like fucking needles on the ground and shit. I don't know, it was a really fucking weird experience. I'll try to. I think that's really all I have. There's nothing like too spooky. I didn't see a fucking ghost or anything. I'm not gonna make up that shit.
Yeah, well, I think those are the best stories in which nothing really dramatic happens. It's just a little unexplainable thing.
Yeah, it's just pretty fucking weird. I don't know. I still don't know what happened. I think it was probably just an animal, just like a raccoon or some shit. But it made it like much more suspenseful because we were just there alone.
Tyrion, Riken, thanks for coming on and speaking. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you again now. Oh, he muted himself. Excellent. Tyrion, the first place winner was Aurora, but I don't know if I fully count them because they coordinated to win the vote. Second place was House Stark. Third place was Cataclysm. So I consider Aurora and House Stark to be like dual winners. Rygan, can you whisper too?
Hello, Rygan. I hope you're doing well.
What are you
Do you
doing?
know what's behind you right now?
I'm
Do you know
sick.
what's in that back room right now?
Oh no, what is
Do you
it?
know? Do you know what's? Do you know what's outside your house right now? Do you really know for sure? Do you really? Have you looked?
And Riken, be careful. There's a skinwalker that's stalking you, by the way. Do an asthma session.
Hello, and welcome to the October 29th episode of Thalmor Radio. I am your host, Thalmor, coming to you live from a mountain bunker deep in the middle of Kentucky. And I am here to bring you the news and only the news. With my co-host, Zig, we will make sure you know what's going on in the game and in real life and how to think about them. Because we're here for you. And we love you.
For you. We love you.
And you will become a part of us someday. Maybe not soon. Maybe not even in this life. But someday, we will all be one.
Join
So,
us.
all right. So, I think that's it. Did anyone post in the spooky stories? Okay, Zig. Gosh, I love you, Zig. You posted last in your story there, just in case someone looked. That is great. I'll do, I guess, final call for spooky stories. Is there any last spooky stories to go over from anyone? Because I still got to talk about the high schools who gave the Kentucky teachers a lap dance. The high schoolers who did that, and I have to talk about what happened with Goons with Church. So this shit is still going on for a little bit. Okay. Nope. I guess that's it. Okay. Well, I will try to get through these next two things somewhat speedily. So just grit your teeth, grab the armrests of your chair, and let's get through this. So, Hazard County, Kentucky had a very interesting story. And there's been a lot of stories out of Kentucky this week. This local girl that I didn't know, but people I knew her. She died in a motorcycle wreck. Apparently, here in Kentucky, a cousin stabbed another cousin over sex toys or something. I don't know. It's a weird one out here. But the story that has my attention the most comes from Hazard County. Kentucky high school staff members got lap dance from students as part of like a man pageant, and the pictures were taken and they were uploaded to Facebook. And you had these high school boys dressed in women's lingerie giving lap dances to the staff of this school, and like this has been going on for a couple years now. This is like an annual event. So Riken says, our rival school had a football retreat for the team where they stayed a week at the school, and the two best players thought it was a good idea that one of them sat on some kid while he was sleeping completely naked, and the other filmed it. Well, see, that's the school kids fucking with each other, right? This is the authorities, the principal and the staff receiving the lap dances, and I believe in some of the pictures, the boys are actually like touching the staff, like really weird. And actually kind of gay. So I don't know what was going on. So the community members have been like rallying behind this. I don't know, but outsiders, including myself, are like, this is fucked. Whereas the people in the community are actually like, no, it's fine. So just a bizarre story overall. You can easily find the pictures online. They're probably not safe. They're probably not safe for work, but they are just very interesting situation. Final call, real life. Yeah, and girls were also involved. They were they were in like Hooters uniforms though, and I don't know what they did. So very weird story. Okay, no one is giving me any real life topics to discuss. I'm going to assume everyone is pretty exhausted by this point, and I do not blame them because this show has been going on much longer than usual. Because these shows vary. Sometimes they're 45 minutes long. Sometimes they are 2 hours long. It just kind of varies. But I think the final thing we'll go over, because I'm ready to end the show too. I am hungry. I need to eat. Church, tell us about this Goons dossier that was created.
Ooh, all right, sweet. Yeah, so the original members, and Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, were Murky and Tugger. And those two started what was called the CIA. And so basically, they invited Jack, and then it sprouted into like this group of people. Chad was there too. And so basically, after the screenshots from DNN were released that Goons is coming back to the game, we hopped right on that, and we were starting to investigate what was going on. And so, first thing was that turns out the screenshots on DNN were faked. Like, you can see some of the chats don't line up with the actual Goons chats. We had somebody actually go into Goon server, and they were able to see chats, and yeah, none of the chats that were on the fake screenshots were actually there. But eventually we got a real screenshot, but that's later on. So me and one other person decided to try and infiltrate Goons, and so I hopped on, and instantly I knew like two people who were, kind of high ranked, so I went to them first. And first guy was Captain Splendid, and I lost my train of thought here. So yeah, Captain Splendid. I went to him and I asked if I could join Goons, just trying to infiltrate their Discord. He said no. He was being very touchy about the subject of somebody going into their Discord. So that was hard. And then I tried to figure out any other I just thought it was just him being a dick. So I tried thinking of any other way that I could infiltrate Goon server, and then I thought up of Jazz. Talking to Jazz was very interesting, to say the least. He was also very, kind of wanted to keep everything a secret. They don't want anybody to join the Goon server. They're trying to keep, everybody out. The original plan was to try and get into the forums, but you have to pay to actually get into something awful. And nobody wanted to fork over $10 to actually get into something awful. And so eventually another leak came out, which was the actual announcement from Goons that there were, I think, 36 nations, if I'm not mistaken.
There was 37 that were actually signing up, and Tugger was the one who discovered the real one by finding a leak within the Goon server itself. And so he provided us with that screenshot that, proved that all the screenshots were fake.
Yeah. So, after that screenshot, I mean, there was really no way to actually have someone new infiltrate the server, because unless you can hack Discord and actually read all the chats, I mean, I don't see a way that they're going to let any new members actually join their server. I mean, like I said, you can pay $10 to get on something awful, and then just look at the forums and see what's going on in there. But I don't know if anything's on there. But we also found, I know you found one, Thalmor, and then we also found a few other Goons nations that are in the game, and we warned alliances. One went to TKR.
Made an entire watch list of anyone that may be or may have been affiliated with Goons in any way. Known public supporters, known members, known government alliances with Goons members in it that we have warned that haven't gotten rid of them. Also a screenshot, the only screenshot that I could find of Goons government page, which is actually when they rebranded to GPA as a troll or whatever. But we have that up there. And yeah.
Also, one thing that I forgot to add that I found really funny was so right after I was talking to Jazz and he asked me how I even found him, I said I found him off PNW, and I was like, "You're the leader of goons. You have a nation that's the leader of goons." That's what I found. And then right after that, um, goons got deleted. So um, we think that me trying to infiltrate from the politics and war side made Jazz kind of uncomfortable and delete the actual alliance in politics and war for now. They might come back. I don't know if Tealy is still doing their funny haha by taking Goon's names or whatever, but yeah, no, that's about it
Yeah,
for
and
that.
after right after that, we had I think two more sources that we tried to get information from. Neither of them really helped, and one of them never responded. So we decided to publish. And if anybody has any information, we would like to see it. If you even if it's just links of people who are goons that are not currently on the watch list, or screenshots, attempted infiltration, any of that. If you're on mobile, the document, all the screenshots will look like shit on mobile. So go on desktop, or you can also look on PIT, because all of the screenshots given, and they are the same resolution we got. So if it's low quality on there, then can't do much better than that. But yeah, still an ongoing investigation. It'll probably.
So at this point, do you think that Goons, in a coordinated way, is trying to infiltrate the game and do some damage?
Yes,
I mean,
because of how many people that we know have returned, and those that have joined other alliances. I think some of them genuinely wanted to play, and other ones genuinely wanted to, do damage. But it's kind of hard to tell. So, even though it might, not necessarily a good thing for the people that just want to play, but it's probably best to warn any alliance that comes across Goons members, because I do believe that they do have bad intentions when they want to return, and that based off the
I'm
information we have, that they have returned to do this.
I think personally speaking, on my side of this, for the players who just want to come back and play, I mean, just keep them under a microscope. Basically, keep everyone under a microscope. To be honest with you, that is all goons. And like, if they just genuinely wanted to just return to the game and not be a dick, this time around, that's fine. But still keep a close eye on them
Like,
if you know
yeah,
they
if
aren't.
anyone does want to return, they should probably hide any connections they have with Goon, just because of the connotations that saying you were a part of something awful for them or part of Goons, but what that means, they should probably just hide that and just play the game.
And gotcha. And thank you guys for digging into this, whatnot, and formulating it into this folder. But and I agree. Anyone who genuinely wants to return needs to understand that that there's something awful. Community does not have a good reputation here for good reason, and they need to downplay their involvement. But I actually will say something else. I'll take a contrarian viewpoint for a second, which is I thought about this. I thought about what if goons did come back? What's the worst they could do? And I've concluded that I don't think they're a real threat because, like, I highly doubt enough of them will join to be a military threat. Like, maybe if you had a bunch of C5s raiding the smallest members of alliances, that might be a problem for a little bit. But they're hated. They are reviled. No one's going to want to help them. No one's going to partner with them. The worst thing they could do would be to infiltrate a bunch of governments and then to coup them and to waste the banks of those alliances. But that's just funny though. Like, that would be exciting and interesting. So I don't even that's not the worst thing ever.
I mean,
And
so what?
Alex would probably undo the damage anyways.
So, in my opinion, I don't really see them as a threat because, like you said, I mean, what are they gonna do against like a whole entire community? You know, I mean, I see them more as if they come back, they're looking at harassment wise, not just in game wise. I'm looking at like harassing members of the community again and causing that whole thing. We are more prepared now for people like that to come into the community, but like back when they were here, I don't think really Alex had control of that situation. But I think now that we know what they will do, I think we can better handle it and get control of it so that it doesn't spiral out of control.
Also, Alex is fully against them returning. I'll grab a screenshot. Up.
Yeah, Alex does not want them back at all. It's really funny.
So and the only alliance that may or would have any positive relations with goons would be ASM, because on this game called Affairs in Order, I have seen them talking about ASM, and they do have a lot of similar members in their community. Some of the goons leadership doesn't necessarily like ASM, but I feel like if anybody would ally with them, it would be them.
Yeah, they're around the same type of people.
All right, so I think that's that then. It's 11:20. We did all the Halloween stuff. We talked real life stuff. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I need to eat. We've all been here, and I think it's time we close out the show for tonight. So thank you all for coming out, and I think we're done. I'm not going to address the shifty thing. That will be handled behind closed doors. It's 11:20, and it is time we close up. Everyone have a good weekend. I'm going bowling tomorrow night, so I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Soup, play the theme, and everyone have a good weekend. If Soup can play the theme, I think he can.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.